deleted the description here. Anyway, excuse me. Oh, excuse you, Bear. Here, why don't you take your spot back here, okay? Get on the chair and hang out. Okay. Hey guys, good morning, good morning. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Instagram. My name is Natalie. This is Hey, It's a Good Life. Hopefully you know that by now. Today I'm bringing on a very special guest. It is part of our workshop week. We've been doing 10 days of workshops here, really in conjunction with this thing called the off-grid bundle that my digital product is a part of, but really this conversation is so much bigger, right? Like, I want to serve you guys at the highest level possible. And this week, I've been really telling the story of how I took my business from a freebie to an ebook to a course business that brought me in back-to-back 10K paydays and continues to pay me daily. Lots of ways to make passive income. I'm really passionate about making money on the homestead for the homestead. And a lot of you guys know I'm on this mission to fund our farm dream. Well, I finally cracked the code and I want to pass along those goods to you. If you want more resources from me, I didn't realize you guys would want them so quickly. So now I have them. I'm just putting the final touches on them. If you want to be on that list to get them when they launch, I've got free resources. I've got, very inexpensive resources. And then we're going to develop some even more like higher ticket resources that are really going to take your business to the next level. If you want details on any of that, make sure you check out the link in my bio. And I think it's the first or second option. There's not a whole lot of options in there. So just sign up on that list. And when things are available, I'll be able to send them and share them with you. Okay. I've loved getting to know you guys and your business dreams this week. So if you have a big dream or you have a goal, if there's some way that I can help you, please do let me know. Without further ado, last thing, go get your homestead bundle. It's only 3 days left of getting my course for just 50 cents, which is crazy. You can get all these other homestead resources. And it's been really fun to participate in that. So make sure you go get your bundle. But without further ado, I'm bringing on one of my dearest friends today, and I can't wait to chat with her. She's been such a great friend, and I know I wouldn't be in my business without her feedback and encouragement. And it's been such a joy to get to know her through our journeys of entrepreneurship. Her name is Emily. She has a small business called Tallow. And I'm going to invite her to join us right now. And I can't wait to chat with her. So if you will join me and up there, give a big round of applause, all the emojis, and for my friend Emily here. Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, wow, that is like a close-up. A little bit. Nobody needs to see that.
Hey, good thing you've got flawless skin and hair, okay?
Yeah, I could get the hair like out of the shot and then
It looks amazing, guys. It looks amazing. Guys, you guys need to know this about Emily is that I know her from church a long time ago, and you've done so many different things from music to I didn't even know what you're an esthetician. You have your background in
cosmetologist.
I call it the wrong thing all the time. I'm so sorry. And so I always wondered, how did she have these perfect little bobs and this beautiful hair? And it's because she's like so skilled. I'm like, can you just teach me how to cut my bangs? Can you teach me how to gua sha over here? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I just want to throw this out there. Her stuff is amazing. It like healed my nose overnight. I'm so glad you told me to put tallow on my nose. So go get you guys some tallow. Please go check out her small business and sign up for her list to get 15% off your first product because it's amazing and you want it in your life. Okay, that's my little I had to plug tallow really fast. So tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, all that good stuff.
So I went to cosmetology school in high school. So I did in California. They have they call it ROP, where you can like learn a trade. And so I actually went to cosmetology school. And so my background is really in hair. I worked in hair salons, and so when you're a cosmetologist, you're kind of covered like everything is sort of covered underneath that. So like if I wanted to go work and do, work in skincare as an esthetician, it's covered under cosmetology.
Oh, so I thought it was separate. So it's all the same roof. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. But if you like, say, if you want to become an esthetician and you don't want to go through, because it's a lot more hours. I think it's like 1,600 hours that you have to go through
Oh.
to become a cosmetologist.
Oh.
But if you want to just become an esthetician, it's like 800 or something. So if people know they just want to work with the skin, this is like a total random side note. But if you want to just become an esthetician, you can go to school just for that.
Ah, okay. Well, you went to school for all of it and you're crushing it. And little did I know this was the background as I've been talking to you for months now about tallow. She's like, oh yeah, I went to cosmetology school. I'm like, sister, hello, we got to put this into your story. We got to like add this to your marketing plan here. So good.
Yeah. Yeah. So my background is in that, I worked at salons, but I feel like I've done a lot of different things in my life. And so, I also am a musician, so I have, worked at churches. I did a lot of worship leading for churches, and so, I'm a songwriter, and so I feel like I've had my hand in a lot of different things throughout my life, and so yeah, going into. Do you want me to talk about how I got into tallow, or?
Yeah. And just tell us about who you are, what you do. Yeah, I mean, tell us about tallow. I want to know more about that, but like, yeah, it's all grist for the mill. Yeah, we want to know everything.
I'll just like talk and talk and talk. So yeah, so basically, like I said, I have a history in. I have actually worked for some other skincare brands as well. And so that's been really cool, actually, because that has played into what I'm doing now. I don't know if you know this, so we have our mutual friend Lisa. Years ago, I worked for Jack Black, which is that men's skincare line, and so that actually set me up in some different ways for what I'm doing now. And so I feel like the cool part of my story as we'll unfold it is that like all of these different things have had to play out throughout my life to bring me to where I am now. Basically a year ago, so I have 3 little kids, 3, 7, and 9. And my husband and I had bought about 40 acres in the hills of Tennessee, and doing all the things, permaculture. We planted like 18 fruit trees, and living in a tiny little cabin, and it was kind of crazy, to be honest. but we were in this striving to become more self-sufficient, and okay, we were like completely off the grid.
Guys, really fast. They were like serious homesteaders. Like she would send us pictures and we'd be like, you're going number 2 where? Like what is going on? Like straight up in the woods. Like it was amazing.
I don't know if amazing is the word.
Well, with 3 kids, like you guys cast this vision and you're like, yeah, we're doing it. I mean, I just admire the grit that takes. Like seriously, so cool.
So we did all of our cooking on a wood stove, which was up until this point, I didn't even know how to start a fire. Like I literally could not have started a fire. So I kind of got like a crash course into survival skills and homesteading. And so when at one point, so I guess a little over a year ago, like around last Christmas, we were like, we should stock our freezer with some meat. And so when I went to go pick it up from the butcher, they were like, oh, here's the suet if you want to render it down and make tallow.
Oh.
And at this point, I was like off social media. I don't know if you remember when everyone did, or a lot of people did that mass exodus off social media. Okay, well, I had done that. Now I kind of wish I hadn't done that, but whatever. So I'd gotten rid of my social media. So I wasn't seeing that there was a tallow, movement happening. They were like, you can render it down. So looked up how to do it, and I rendered it down on our little wood stove in our foot cabin. Like I rendered down suet while we were watching Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. Like I kid you not. So after it was done, I'm the type of person like you know how you watch a movie and then afterward you're like, if you find out, oh, that was a true story, and then you go on and you just obsessively read everything about it.
Yeah.
That was tallow. I was just like, what is this stuff? I need to know everything about tallow. And so I read you can put it on your skin as well. It's really healing for the skin. And I had been really struggling with bad eczema around my eyes for the last 2 years. And so I was like, I'm going to try this, and there's no herbs in it, nothing. It was just straight rendered tallow from my wood stove. And I started just like blathering it. And within a couple days, my eyes were so much better that I was like, this is crazy. Like, this stuff is nuts. And then within a couple, completely gone. My eyes were back to normal. And it was just like this seed planted for me, again, because I wasn't on social media. So I didn't see anybody else talking about this. In my head, I was like, this would be a cool business idea. Like, because also I was like, I started looking around and it's like, you can't find this anywhere. You can't get it in health food store or whatever. So, anyway, and it's interesting now looking back at the story. If I had been on social media, I wonder if I would have done it, because I so struggle with imposter syndrome and in feeling like, who am I to do this? Like, it's already been done, that I honestly think I might not have done it, because I would have just felt like that somebody else is already doing it. So it's interesting, again, these little pieces that you see and you go, oh, okay, I can see that there was things happening behind the scenes that I didn't fully see.
That is so interesting. So I love this story so much because it reminds me of what I call like stepping stone moments in my own life. How sometimes you don't always see how it's all fit together, but it's like they really do all lead you down this path of where you're meant to go if you're just kind of listening and taking the next right step. And I mean, I took some notes here. It's like from cosmetology to off-grid homesteader to dealing with eczema in the woods to finding tallow and experiencing this massive healing and massive transformation. That is so, I mean, and you're right, like sometimes things don't make sense at the time, like deleting social media, you're like, dang, I wish I had that, maybe for my business or to grow other things that I'm doing now. But yeah, I mean, if you had that, you might have like discredited yourself, and imposter syndrome can be such a real thing that so many of us face. And I'm selfishly so glad that you don't have that social media anymore because I'm so glad you have tallow. I'm obsessed with tallow. You guys, like, I'm like the number one fan of tallow. I haven't had a lot of space to like talk or share about it here, but I'm going to share with you guys more behind the scenes of how tallow has affected our life, because we actually dealt with eczema for a while too, both my daughter and I. And yeah, Emily was kind enough to send us tallow and was like, "Hey, try this. This is what I'm making." And I'm like, "What? You make this? Like, what? This is so cool." And it was a part of our healing journey too. And you taught me a lot about the value of having those nutrients just so accessible. And I think that's so important. Just as like a gardener, we want those nutrients so accessible. I'm a big fan of basically, putting nutrients on the skin of my plants. Well, it's like if we can get nutrients directly on our own skin, like how much more is that going to expedite healing? And even just last night, like my nose was so raw and you were like, put tallow on it. And today it feels so much better. And I think it has to do with not only your process and the fact that you do things differently with your infused oils, but also the benefits of the nutrients. And you've taught me so much of the value of that. So I'm super glad that you fell into tallow. What a cool story.
Yeah, like truly was like, I can only credit for so much of it because it like I was like being led somewhere.
Yeah.
And so the other part of my story that's so interesting is that, so I had this idea. We came out here to visit my family, and so this was last January. Without going into like all the details of it all, basically, I was like so I had this little jar, this little 4-ounce mason jar, and I was like sampling it to everyone. Like one of my friends, I was like, oh, how do I give this to you? And I gave it to her like in a Ziploc bag. I scooped out a little bit, and like completely like transformed her acne. she was really struggling with like the mask me, that this was in California, the masking. And so after this time, like right in this time, as I started sampling it to people, my marriage completely fell apart. And it's so unbelievable to me, like the timing of it all, that I had an idea, and everything that happened, like in my marriage, it was like suddenly I found myself being like, I have 3 kids. Like I have to figure out a way to support us. And so, and you were such a big part of this. We kept going back and forth. But Natalie was like my sounding board this last year. It was like, you were like my business sounding, my friend too. But you know what I mean? Like, do I do music? Do I do tallow? Do I do music? Do I do tallow? And at some decided to just like really go for it and to focus, because I think that, and it's interesting, I think that sometimes they were talking about this at church a few weeks ago, how sometimes like you look at your life and you're like, I don't know what I'm good at. What are my gifts? I don't know what my gifts are. And then sometimes you like look at your life and you're like, I feel like I have options here and I don't know which one to choose. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's like with you, like I could do counseling or I could do, it's like sometimes there's gifts given and you have to pick one. Yeah. You can't, it doesn't mean I'm never going to do music again, but I did kind of have to like put it to the side for a minute so that I could focus.
I'm so glad you're saying that. Sorry, go ahead. I'm so glad that you're saying that, because those of you who have been kind of following along this workshop week and talking with other business owners and homesteaders and, natural crunchy people like us, there's such a theme with this idea of like, I have to take this step. Sometimes it's hard or scary or I'm doubting myself. Yeah, we're still live. Everybody on YouTube's like, are we still live? Yeah, we're still live. Thank you for the thumbs ups. It can be so easy to doubt ourselves and not take that first step. And then sometimes we take that step and there's options and we have to choose. And it's like, how do I know what to choose? And I think that one of the biggest things that a lot of us who are especially just getting started, I know for me, I felt like if I don't talk about all 5 other of my passions, I'm not being authentic to myself. And it's like an authenticity issue. It's like, I don't want to be a liar. I don't want to be inauthentic. Like they need to know all of this. I can help people with all of this. But the thing that I've discovered is when your message is for everybody, it's not really for anybody. And I was so proud of you when you took that step that you're like, okay, this makes the most sense right now. This is offering so much transformation in my life and bringing healing to others. This is what I'm going to do. I know that I'm a musician. You guys, Emily is such a talented musician. Like, I don't want to get sidetracked either with ADD here, but she is so talented. Like, so many wonderful songs have come through her that have truly changed lives. But like, also, you're an amazing creator of tallow, and you have a very unique take on it that a lot of people don't. I mean, you're doing things differently that I don't really see in the market. And I think that's another thing that we've talked about. A lot of people go, well, how do I get started? If it's oversaturated, and it's like, well, look for the problem and develop the leveled up solution, offer that value. And I feel like you've done that with tallow really well, where you're like, hey, I'm not a fan of this, rendering process or this formulation. I think that we could do it better. And so I don't know how much is proprietary or not, so I'm trying to talk carefully here, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about like finding that niche in the market. I feel like we're getting away from some of the heart stuff here, but that was so good and so juicy. But tell us a little bit about like that experience of finding that niche in the market of like, okay, there is this product, I'm in love with it. Okay, other people are doing it, but I see an opportunity to do it better.
Okay, this goes back to like all the different pieces lining up because prior to this, I had been following Jessica Ash. Do you follow her?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so she had been kind of she had kind of like thrown out, she was kind of talking about essential oils and hormones and just being careful, being mindful that these are very, very strong, potent oils that if you're struggling with, estrogen dominance or just hormonal imbalance, that you have to be really careful. And so I kind of, again, that was before I started the tallow. That was like kind of like starting to like play through my mind a little bit of just being aware. And let me just say too, whoa.
I forgot to charge my light. Duh. I was like, just using my light, living my best life. Totally forgot to charge it. So we'll do a little pivot here. How about that? There we go. You guys can see my cats on my bed and my open closet. It's all good.
Up on my boxes. It's like up here.
We make it work. Dude, everybody, these are the early days of Hey, It's a Good Life in Tallow, okay? You guys, we'll remember you all when we've got a full rig set up and a whole camera crew, okay? Just remember that it started here on the boxes and in the bedroom with the cats.
Okay. So anyway, so I'm just disclaimer too, like I'm not like on a mission like against essential. It was just, this was my journey that I was taking where I was starting to be really careful with it.
Listen, we're not here to upset anybody who loves essential oils. Okay, let's just get that clear. All right, it's fine.
So, but my frustration was that all of these eczema products, they all had, like, most of them had essential oils in them, and so I'm like, I was really frustrated by that. And so I started with kind of these first ruminating thoughts were like, what if I did something that didn't have essential oils in it, but I scented it a different way? And so I started researching what were my options. And so, really my first product that I made was, it was lavender and coffee. So I just took the lavender and infused the lavender into oil, into the whole, actually, I think my first one I did it into olive oil. And I found, that you could actually use the whole plant instead of just using the essential oil. And I really became obsessed with this because I was like, oh, this feels right in my spirit. This feels good to me. Like, you're using the whole plant, because when you're just pulling out the essential oil, you're only getting, part of the plant. You're not getting the full spectrum of the healing parts of the plant, the full, constituents of the plant. And so I just, and also it was cool from everything that I learned in all of this homesteading and the permaculture world. And I learned a lot about plants in that whole process. I learned a lot of stuff that I never knew before. And so it was cool to be able to bring that into now what I was doing with tallow. Like, okay, even though I'm not living on that homestead, I still am taking all that knowledge, and we're actually staying with my parents who live on a small homestead. They got apple trees, and so it's. I feel that I've been like very covered this whole process, like, and so it was like this sort of niche of like, okay, I'm not like, I would say the majority of tallow products, they use essential oils, and honestly, it's easier that way. You could just take, the way that I make it, you just take your tallow, add essential oils at the end, whip it up, and you're good. So this is a more long, drawn-out process. Like right now in this pot here, I have tallow, and then I've got lavender and calendula infusing into this warmer. So it infuses for 3 days. So it's slower, right? But it resonates with me that we're using the whole plant. It's very gentle. It's gentle on your skin. It's gentle on your hormones.
I will just say too, I've noticed a big difference in products that have essential oils, which I still have some. I still use them when needed, but there is such a difference, and I see it in the garden too. Like I'm, the compost queen around here, and it's like I make this stuff called worm tea, and it's one of the, worm castings and worm tea are some of the most gentle things that you can offer the garden, but it's it's a whole nutrient rather than just extracting nitrogen or just extracting potassium and adding that to the garden. I feel like the conversation is very similar for any gardeners out there who maybe are new to this herbalism conversation. Herbalism? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Is okay. It's sometimes we're so trained to think like I need the antibiotic or I need this like really powerful agent for scent or I need this really powerful agent for fertilizer. And it's so ironic because actually gentler offers a broader spectrum of nutrients and of healing and it actually expedites the healing process and does less damage along the way. Like anyway, so I love what you're saying, and I love that you're talking about what resonates with your spirit too, because that's such an important part of business and just life of like listening to what's happening inside. Um, I love that we can see that it's happening in the background. And honestly, I thought this was like a 6 to 12 week process. I'm so happy to hear that it's only three as somebody who does like fast results.
Yeah. This is 3 days.
Okay.
This fusion, and then this here is the middle.
Yeah.
And then this over
Yeah.
here. This is also 3 days. So this is lemon verbena in here. And so I just continued to learn and grow. And I took a course on fats and oils and how to expedite it if you need to. So with the blender method, you could take oils and you're literally like blending your oils and your herbs together. There's a whole method of how to do it because it does get really hard. It's like you run out of product and then it's like now I have to use this for 6 weeks. Like that can be really hard when you're running business.
Yeah.
So so that and the other thing is though that's really cool about this is this is going to sound really cheesy, but you find your tribe. Like I found my tribe actually. I found my other people that are in my same business sphere that are doing a similar thing. I didn't and it's been through those people that I've grown a lot, just having other people that I'm, like watching how they're doing it. Of course not like copying what they're doing, but I'm observing and like, oh, that's cool. I wonder how I could take what they're doing and make it my own. How can I didn't really know about hydrosols before all this, and so I've definitely learned a lot of because again, my hair was my specialty, not skincare. So it's been new and but everybody has to start somewhere. Oh, I see. Household love made tallow over here. So we just loved or just started making our own products because the person I usually bought from always sold out. People are catching up with our tallow. Yes, that's so true. Many times it's like, in fact, like a lot of my skin creams are sold out right now because it's hard to, it can be hard to keep up. But
Well, you've said a lot of things that I would love to circle back to. Like this whole plant discussion, I think is so important. But I also love the heart and the entrepreneurial journey that we're talking about too, which I just want to highlight. Like if you guys have been hanging around for these workshops this week, you're probably starting to see a theme that, I always encourage people go after your dream because a lot of us entrepreneurs or people who have business ideas, we tend to feel really lonely. We tend to come from a very similar blueprint of background with our families. We tend to have like these big ideas and we tend to feel rather lonely. And so if you're ruminating on I have this big dream, but I don't know how I'm gonna get there, and you're crying under your purple fuzzy blanket the way I used to, like take a step in faith and like take one step towards that because you never know who you're gonna meet. I have met so many cool people just saying yes to my dream. And I have so many like lifelong friends now because of it. And it's so cool. Like you're in a similar position where you've met other people who are just as passionate, who have maybe different or a unique knowledge that they can share with you and then that builds you up and then you can build them up and there's this really beautiful thing that happens and I'm so happy for you that you found your people along the way. um we can talk more about that or I kind of want to know more about this whole plant infusion business because I feel like you grazed over that and again if it's proprietary or whatever but like I feel like this is a really important conversation to have is like whole plant healing So I don't know, we can go either way. You wanna talk more about, like, the infusion and why, like, that's so important? Like, I personally love that you use calendula and lavender because I've seen so much healing in my life from just those 2 things done the way that you do it. Um, I don't know, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the benefits of those, or, we can talk a little bit about other stuff if you prefer. Excuse me, I have to blow my nose.
Well, so on the side of my jar, um, it says, "Oh, it's backwards, parents. You can't see." It says, "Keep it simple."
Oh,
Keep it,
I love that.
and like I've gone back and forth. Like, is that a good message? Is that a bad? Like, because I mean, it's actually not super simple to make, but I found that what I love about it though is that you could do this.
Yeah.
Any Anybody can do this. You do not need to have a chemistry degree. And the heart behind it is like there are so many herbs and flowers like at your fingertips like that are, and it does play into what you do, and like I couldn't do my business without the gardener. Like I could not run. I mean, I could, but it would just it would just smell like tallow.
She sent me her first batch, you guys, and it didn't have any scent, I don't think. And she was like, "Can you just try this?" And so I tried it, and I was like, "Well, it feels amazing. I smell a little bit like my ancestors, but it's not a bad smell."
No, but it definitely. I did want to touch on that too because
I'm not yawning, by the way. I'm trying to pop my ears because I can't hear. So I'm so sorry if I keep like popping my ears. You're not boring. I'm just like, I want to hear you
yeah.
better.
I did want to I don't know. I feel like I'm so ADD. I'm like, oh, I have thought here, but
It's perfect. No, we're going with it.
I feel like what you were talking about, like just starting somewhere. I think that that's the hardest part. Is like when I started making this, like it was. I don't feel it wasn't the best on the market. It was.
I think it was, but
I hadn't figured out how to make it like edit grade. I hadn't figured out how to make it, and so I had a lot of like really supportive people that were like, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. But when I started out, like my product is very different now than from my first batches because it's just funny that you're like, it didn't have a scent. I'm like, yes, it did. It had vanilla and coffee, or had lavender and coffee. It's just I didn't know yet how to make it. I didn't know how to make the infusions stronger. I just only knew what I knew at that time. Like, and so now like doing this method, putting it directly into the warmer and infusing it directly into the tallow, you get a much stronger infusion.
I have a question about that. So something that you and I have experienced and discovered a lot together in this entrepreneurial journey is like you have these moments where you have to either choose to level up and invest in yourself and believe in your dream, or just kind of keep trying to learn things for free by trial and error, YouTube, etc. Um, I think that you made some specific choices to invest in yourself. I think, did you take a course that helped you learn some of this stuff?
Yeah, I did. I did buy a course.
Okay, and I think that's so important, and you also mentioned the gardener, and so this is kind of a conversation about scaling, so focusing a little bit on the business side of things, you're scaling your business by investing in yourself, up-leveling your skills to expedite the process so you can eventually get more orders out, which you're starting to do, which is so cool, but also, I remember too, you told me that, I think she's actually a bundle member, Ariel Martinez, is that right? You bought some flowers from her because she's a professional, like, flower herbalist grower?
I bought her oil and fats course.
Oh, I thought you bought her flowers for your infusions. I totally misunderstood.
No, I didn't buy her flowers. I don't think she sells flowers.
I misunderstood. I think I put the 2 together. So I thought she was a I misunderstood completely. Okay, so you bought her course, but then you started buying flowers, like you were saying, "I can't do this without the farmer. I can't do this without the gardener." You started to buy flowers instead of just because you were trying to grow it yourself, which I admire so much.
My first year, I was growing the calendula. We had had some lavender in the backyard, so I was thinking like, oh no, I'm gonna have to outsource some things. So I'm using the tallow too, and I'm not even I'm getting away from doing that because I'm like, it would take me 3 days out of my week just to render the tallow down, and I was like, this is no. And so there is a paying attention to like what brings you life. I rely on farmers. I rely on Crystal Organics farm, and we have a we have a lavender farm down the street. I see. Will this product help with dried, flaky precancerous spots? Yes. So, did you know that tallow is actually has like anti-cancer properties? That it actually is like it's yes because it's really high in antioxidants, and so it actually is really great for precancerous spots like that, or just dry spots in general. I mean, seriously, if you're on this and you have never tried tallow on your skin, it's Natalie can attest to this. It's like unlike any other cream you've used. Like,
It's true.
and that was why I was so sold on the product because I was like, this stuff. I had just really dry skin. Like my skin was just so dry. Like, I've always been that way, just really dry skin. Get out of the shower, I feel like I have to like lather up with. I'm always like trying to lather up with lotions, and I found that like I've recently started doing tallow soap, and so tallow soap has a high fat content, and so it doesn't dry you out. So I have become really passionate about the skin of like, you're just using the wrong products. If you look into on your skincare and it's saying alcohol, like it's gonna dry you out. Like if you're cleansing your skin, see now I'm gonna get preachy about the skin.
Do it. We want to hear about it. What are we doing wrong, Emily? To correct us. Teach us how to do all the things. I want to know.
Yeah, like when you're cleansing, if you're cleansing and trying to, get that squeaky clean feeling on your face, like you're stripping your skin of your natural moisture. And so nature is always trying to bring itself to balance. That's like just a law of nature is your skin is always trying to bring itself to balance. And so if you're stripping the skin of moisture and you're like, you remember like sea breeze? Did you use that when you were younger? Like the Stridex?
Have you seen those memes of people like living their life as if it's the 2000s again? I saw one of those and they put Stridex in there of like me trying to talk to my younger self. And you have the foundation line and then you're removing the makeup with Stridex and the like older self is like looking at the younger self like, please stop doing that. Yes, I do. There was also another one called like Oxy something, I think. I used that one, but anyway, I digress.
Yeah, but really, I mean, we're not doing that anymore. But still, like, if you're a cleanser and it's got alcohol, like, you're just traditional cleansers dry out your skin. They just do. And so, like, I'm really passionate about oil cleansing. And so, again, like, well, this is lavender. So this is, this is lavender that has been infused into jojoba oil. Okay, so when you're oil cleansing, it's so easy. You're just taking a couple drops, putting it on your face, rubbing it, and then wiping it off with a hot washcloth. Go ahead.
I have a question. Okay, can you walk us through, because I love how easy like tallow has made my skincare routine. It's literally two steps because you sent me soap too. And I love the soap. I'm obsessed with the soap because it does give you that clean feeling without the squeakiness and it doesn't dry me out. I'm like, oh, I'm clean and I'm moisturized all at the same time, which is so amazing. I've never used a product like that before. So for me, my skincare looks like at the end of the day, so like I have makeup on right now. At the end of the day, I'm gonna wash my face with my tallow soap, feel amazing. I even use it to like get all the little makeup-y bits out of my eyelashes. And then I, wipe dry, pat dry, and then I do the tallow and I feel amazing. Like my skin feels so good. But I'm new to this whole oil cleansing thing. I bought a gua sha stone, you guys, and I messaged Emily. I was like, I don't know how to use this. Tell me how to do it. Because she was doing it in her stories and I was all inspired. I was like, okay, I need to do this. I still haven't done it, okay? So I suck at skincare, bottom line. I'm really bad at it. So I would love, like, a walkthrough with the oil cleansing. Like, at what point am I adding oil in there, and what do I do?
So like you could even, depending on your skin, you could forego the soap process and just use the oil. So yeah, so I don't ever use like soap on my face. I just use oil. So
I'm
I
doing it
can't
wrong.
soap. There's no, I mean, you can use soap, and if some people, if you tend to be dry, I say try not using the soap. It depends on your skin type. Like some people that
Okay.
are acne prone or um, maybe I don't know. It really just, you have to find what works for you. But most people are completely fine just using an oil and cleansing with an oil. So
Wow.
it's yeah. All you would do, take your makeup off and everything. Most people do the oil or my rose oil. So roses are they have antioxidant. They're really high in vitamin C. So it it helps your skin to produce more collagen.
BRB, I
And
gotta go look that up on the site right now and add that to my cart. You guys, tal-o.com is where you can get all the goods.
well,
Um,
so here's the interesting thing about it. And I don't know, your people, you guys know what's up with plants and herbs, and you know that they are really healing. But isn't it weird how I feel like we're all so programmed to think that you have to have a chemical in order for it to work? Like, I feel like before I started using my rose oil, I was just using jojoba oil to cleanse. Just a couple drops. You can even just put it on your, 5 drops of jojoba oil on your face and cleanse that way. As soon as I started making rose infusions, putting the rose into the jojoba oil, I was like, my skin is more hydrated, my skin is brighter, I have an overall just increased, my skin tone looks better. And I was like legitimately shocked. I was like, I think somewhere deep in us we're fighting culture that's like, if you really want it to work, you need a chemical. You need I don't want to say a pharmaceutical, because we're not big even on pharmaceuticals or antibiotics and all that stuff. But I just think that there's a deep programming in us to think that, like, or to think that it has to have a million products in it. It's not going to work unless there's 8 different types of oils and this and this and this and this, And so I was blown away that, like, 2 ingredients: roses, jojoba oil.
yeah.
Boom. Like, my skin better, and then tallow. Just beef tallow and herbs infused into it. I don't know. I think it's the most amazing thing ever. And most people aren't going to make it themselves because it's time consuming. But the point is that you could. It's not some magic.
Stop. It is magic. What you do is actually alchemy. No, she's like totally downplaying this, you guys. Seriously, I've tried to make my own natural, like, deodorant, soap. I've done all the things. What you do is very special, and I'm not gonna let you downplay it for 1 second. You guys need to go get tallow, tal-o.com. I'm sorry, yeah, I said that right. But yeah, I mean, tenderhearted teaching here is preaching to the choir here. I think a lot of people here do know the power of plants, and so um, I think you're in good company here. Of like, we get it because this comment I feel like says it all. Lots of money spent every year to make us think that we need certain things to treat us. I'm being careful with my words here on the live, but oh wow, I bathed regularly with rose petals last spring for the first time. Game changer. Um, that is really cool. Oh, another good question after that. But before we hop into that question, um, I actually recently learned about roses, that they're like one of the highest vibrational frequencies. Like, they have one of the highest frequencies on earth. And I have yet to like verify that scientifically, but I know from my own experience with rose infused products, like actual rose infused products, it's like it is such a game changer. You could just use jojoba oil, but why not infuse the rose in there and get all of the vitamin C benefits like you were talking about, and just that life source from the rose that it's going to give to your skin. I'm really excited to go get some, and I'm actually wondering if you're charging us enough. Like, what? $20 for this whole bottle of rose oil? Like, I need it in my life. I'm going to buy some right now. I can't wait. Anyway, somebody asked here, how long is the product shelf stable? Actually, this is a I've had myself, because I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can just keep it in my bathroom. And what product
It's
are we
shelf stable. Yeah. So that was another thing that's really, really special about this product is that the shelf life is a year. So yeah. So once it's like if like bacon grease, like animal. If you've ever like taken bacon grease and like put it in a jar, like left it on your counter, is it just me that does?
Yeah.
And then we'll put this, but you can let it sit there and it's not going to mold. It's not going to go rancid. It's shelf stable at room temperature.
Wow.
So that was one of the things that I really liked about it is that I didn't have to add a lot of stabilizers to it. I didn't have to add any stabilizers to it. It was it was shelf stable. It's not, you have to just make sure that there's no water introduced into it because then it can
Okay.
But it's very shelf stable. So I've had people, that came back after 9 months, like, I just went through my first job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have my jar going too. It's what else is so cool, and God, I feel like this is like an infomercial for tallow, but I'm just so obsessed with it, is, you just use such a little bit. I thought I needed to use like a whole thing, a whole scooper or something, and Emily was like, "No, no, no,
Yeah.
a pea-size amount, and you just rub it, and you'll be so surprised at how much it spreads." And I mean, literally like this much gets my whole face and my neck. It's really amazing.
Yeah, and kids, that's the other thing too is, man, I feel like, oh, look, okay, there's two things I want to say. One, it's great for kids because, again, there's a lot of talk in the herbalism world about essential oils and kids and making sure that you're safe. So what I love about this is even my lavender, even the lavender, I have a skin cream called Lavender Fields, but it's infused lavender. It's not the same as essential oil. So it is actually considered to be more safe for children hormonally, as opposed to using the essential oil. But
On that note, I would say I noticed it affect my hormones. When I was going through adrenal fatigue and I had like a lot of weird health issues going on, I had liver stuff, and I was using essential oils at the time, and there was something in me, and again, no hate on essential oils, like use them when and where appropriate, but there was something in me that was like, I feel like this is making the problem worse. And when I stopped, it was part of my healing journey forward. Where I was like, this doesn't feel right, so I'm not going to do it anymore. And I noticed a difference in my hormones for sure. So anyway, for what it's worth, my experience verifies what you're talking about.
yeah. I see someone's asking about vitamin E. Yes, vitamin E can preserve the shelf life. I don't use vitamin E in it. I actually use rosemary antioxidant, which rosemary antioxidant. What I use a very, very small amount, but what it does is it actually it helps the jojoba oil to not oxidize. Like, so it just lowers the oxidation of the product, because that's really tallow will stay good for a really long time, but when you start introducing other oils into it, those oils, when they come into contact with light and heat, can start to oxidize.
I experienced that actually, and then my oils went rancid, and I was like, "What is going on?" And I didn't know what I had done, so that's what I did. I made my oils go bad. Whoops.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming you're using a homegrown farm. Yes, I am using homegrown farm tallow. I have a couple different suppliers that I am working with right now. And that's a tricky part. It's finding good quality, but you can tell when you get it. If you open the jar and it's stinky, it's like, I can tell. I've been doing it enough to know what good tallow looks like and not so good.
I feel like it's like a drug conversation. It's like, yeah, I've got these suppliers. Some have like better product than others. But yeah, that's so good that you're working with local people who like do it the right way. That's awesome.
Oh, another thing I wanted to make sure that I said.
Yeah.
And that was this whole the market is oversaturated thing, because I'd be curious to know what you think about this, because I feel like, okay, so one of the things that I started doing recently, I've only actually had 2 weeks, is I started doing our local farmers market. And So the course that I bought, there was a whole module in there on how to have a successful farmer's market. And so I just followed along, like, and this course that I bought is a product-based course. So it's specifically for if you sell a physical product. But what I wanted to say is that I was blown away actually being in person, in front of people, just everyday people. 9 times out of 10, they had never heard of tallow products. But that's not how it appears on the internet. Like on Instagram, it's like it's so easy to think you're in an oversaturated market because you're finding all these people that are into the same thing that you're into, and it's not reality. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, are there oversaturated markets? Like, I always think about Starbucks. Like, it's like there's Starbucks everywhere. You know, there's coffee shops everywhere, and more coffee shops. I think about in my town. I don't even know how many coffee drive-thrus. They're everywhere, and it's like I feel like we have to get away from this mindset of like it's an oversaturated market, because when I went to the farmers market, I was blown away at that everyday people didn't even know about this, you know, and that's not the perception that I get online. Does that make sense?
I'm so glad you said that. No, yeah, it makes perfect sense. And that's something that so many of us who are starting off feel like, oh, I could never do it. Again, kind of that imposter syndrome, wondering if the market is saturated. And we talked about this a little bit last night on our live. And I think we almost talked about it a little bit in our DM chat last night of like, what makes you you? And that's why I've been like hammering home this all week long in our business workshops at night. So if you guys want more help with your business stuff, like join me at night after bedtime. It's been a little bit hard because we've been sick. So, but yeah, join me after bedtime around 8 p.m. PST, and we talk about this stuff because when you know who you are, you know who you serve, you know what you've gone through, like what is your story and how you can take somebody else from point A where they're struggling and they want to get to the other side. They want to get to point B. Like I wrote down your story just briefly because guys, I know some of you guys have been asking about consulting stuff. Up to this point, I've only helped friends. Emily is one of those people where I use my whatever, my marketing side of my brain. And it's like from cosmetology to off-grid, homesteader to eczema to tallow. Oh, I totally lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Well, that's her story, right? So like that is her story. And, she's has walked through a difficult season of like, moving, raising kids on her own now. And it's like, that's all part of her story and what makes tallow so special. And then add on top of that. So like, so story makes your product unique, right? But then the other part that makes your product unique, and this is what's so important about developing any digital or physical product, is what problem can you offer a solution to? And when you look at the products that exist on the market, like let's say a sneaker, for example, or let me think of a more concrete example or a better example. I mean, tallow is the perfect example. You saw this problem where you're like, okay, I have a problem. I have eczema. Tallow healed it. Okay, great. That's amazing. I want to start a business about it. But you were seeing other people doing it with this essential oil thing. And there was something in your spirit that said that wasn't right. And then you did the research, so this is target market research, right? This is market research or product development research. You did the research and you're like, actually, there could be a problem with using essential oils. And that could be problematic for my hormones and my children's hormones. So let's see if there's a better way. And you developed a better way. And that's why I'm so obsessed with tallow, because I feel like you've done it the right way, all the way from knowing your story, owning that, and doing the product research that needed to be done to make an amazing product. And so, yeah, anyway, big fan of tallow and big fan of what you're up to. And the market saturation is never a problem if you know your story and you can offer more value in your solution than other competitors. I don't even like to call them that, but like if you can offer more value than your competitors, you can open up a craft coffee shop next to Starbucks and still kill it if you know your story and you can make better coffee than Starbucks, which is not hard to do. So
that niching down, right? Because I was actually laughing last night thinking about this because I always say, so when I got into the farmers market, it's a huge farmers market here. Like, I mean, I don't know if this is awkward to say, but like you guys, my first week at the farmers market, I did like over $1,000 like in
No,
sales. I mean,
please. I welcome numbers. You can talk numbers all the time here. Totally welcome.
like
That's huge. That's amazing.
it was huge. It was like, and it was so good to get in front of actual people. I'm not saying you guys aren't actual people in here. Okay? I know you're actual people tuned in, and thank you so much for tuning in. But
Excuse me, sorry.
the verse feels like, I don't know, such an interesting place, you know, like just getting in front of real people. But here's the thing: when I went and applied to get into the farmers market, they said you can only sell tallow products. You can't sell your rose oil. You can't sell your lavender oil. And so I was like, so. But what it did, what I always say is, it like put me out of my misery in a way of like trying to come up. Oh, maybe I could do bath soap. Oh, maybe I could do this. I could do this. Oh, what if I offered this? You know, it's like they niched me down basically to be like, if it doesn't have tallow in it, you can't sell it. And they solved a problem for me that, you know, really was what I needed to be like, okay, it's got to have tallow in it, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest problems, like for creative people, squirrel brain, you know, product squirrel brain. Like,
So true.
I did this, you know? And it ends up just you spinning your wheels, it feels like. And so where I've landed with tallow is I've been like, okay, I'm going to perfect my skin cream. I cannot tell you how many jars I've had to scoop out and throw away. Like, bad batch, that didn't go well. Okay, try again, you know, and it just, but I feel like now it's gotten to the place where I'm like so proud of it, where I'm like, you would never know this was tallow, and it's a great product, you know, but it took a lot to get there. It took a lot of focus and determination, and like, I'm just going to keep working at it. I'm going to just get really cozy with failure, get really cozy with mistakes, and in the end, so a year later from when I started this, I'm actually starting to see like a real profit come through. That's super exciting.
So good. We're coming close to time here, so I wish that I could keep talking, but I do see an interesting question here. Do you recommend starting at a local farmers market? I don't know. I personally wouldn't. I think what Emily did is great. I think she tested with her friends and family first and practiced at a lower cost scale because it does cost money to get all of your supplies for the farmers market. I mean, it's a huge investment of your time and resources. So my take from a business perspective is I would not start at a local farmers market. I would do what Emily did exactly and test on a small scale, which is why always say make your freebie, then make your ebook, then make your course. Like start small and test it first. But Emily, what are your thoughts on that? And then we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm glad that I didn't start right away at the farmer's market because it took me a whole year to really feel like I had a good, solid product to take to market, you know? But I do, and it's just also, I'm an extreme extrovert. I love to talk to people. And so my goal isn't necessarily to be at the farmer's market forever. I needed to get more exposure. And this has been part of my story. For some people, a farmer's market is going to be like, just shoot me now. Like, if I have to stand there every week and talk to people, but like, this is just part of my story where I am right now. And I actually feel like I needed that energy coming right now, just to help propel me, you know, like just, cause it can be, I don't know. It can. You are amazing, and I feel like that I need to grow. Not only to have these conversations, but like I need a digital product, you know, because I don't want to work like a dog like this forever, you know. And that is an issue of like when you're making a physical product, it's like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So I would love to have more digital products and things that I can offer of value that are passive for me because what I'm doing is not passive.
Listen, when you come out with that gua sha tutorial, I will be your first purchaser of that course and ebook because I really need to get on the gua sha and I don't know why it's so intimidating to me. And I think on that note too, I'm so glad that you said what you said of like, be confident in your product before you bring it to market. It took many years for me too to feel confident in compost because that is such a unique skill to be able to say, this is exactly how I do it. This is exactly how you can do it. And this is going to get you those results. And I know for you, you had bad batches, you had grainy batches, you had bad tallow, had all these things that you had to go through. And so until you know your suppliers are legit, until you know your process is legit, until you're cranking out that product that's like, yes, I know this is going to get people the results they want. I wouldn't go gung ho in any one direction. I think testing is really important. And I'm so glad you said that. There's something else I was going to say. I'm forgetting it now, but unfortunately, we're at time. Emily, thank you so much for joining us today. I feel like this is such an amazing conversation. Thank you so much. So tell us, where can we get our tallow? Where can we find you? All of that good stuff.
Yeah, so make sure and follow. Is it here in the pin? It's underscore TAL underscore O. Tal-O.
I'm gonna try and tag it. It didn't let me earlier. I'm gonna try again. It's underscore TAL underscore tallow. Or oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We'll see if it lets me.
Tal-o.com.
I've been found by the toddler. Okay, so tal-o.com. Make sure you guys are following Emily. She's one of my dear friends, somebody I've been able to build business alongside and just see her flourish. So thankful for her. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to go tend to my little toddler who just found me, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys found that valuable. Join me for the rest of workshop week. 3 days left. See ya.